Hey there, good morning. I'm Councillor Glen, and this is my weekly update for Saturday, November the 9th. I am out in front of the Stittsville Legion, and of course I'm here because we're coming up to Remembrance Day on November 11th, and it is the Stittsville Legion members who organize the annual Remembrance Day ceremony in Stittsville. It's happening on Monday afternoon at 2 p.m. at the Stittsville Cenotaph in front of Johnny Leroux Arena. Johnny Leroux Arena is in front of, it's on Warner Colpitts Lane, which is just off Stittsville Main Street. And it's at 2 p.m. At about 1:45, there's going to be a parade, a march of some veterans, some Legion members, some community members. It's going to be leaving this Legion Hall, and they're going to do a march over to the ceremony for 2 o'clock p.m. You're welcome to come out and line up on the sidewalk and watch that parade, and please do join us at the ceremony at 2 p.m. here in Stittsville. Thank you to the Legion members who are organizing this year's event and who have been running the Poppy campaign over the past couple of weeks at local retail stores and so on. Thank you to everyone, and please make sure you take a few moments to remember and observe Remembrance Day on Monday. Lots of updates this week. On Monday or Tuesday, it was early in the week, we started to hear some reports from residents about a very loud boom that they heard. And it's a bit of a mystery, but my councillor colleague Clark Kelly in West Carleton believes he's tracked down the source. It looks like it was coming from the Kavanaugh Quarry, which is up towards Dwyer Hill Road. Now, blasts from quarries, the noise does not usually travel this far and this loudly, but they believe it could be perhaps atmospheric pressure, low cloud, ceiling cover. Not quite sure, still a bit of a mystery, but it looks like it was from the quarry. If you have any other ideas or information, please get in touch, but hopefully that provides some more information and mystery partially solved on that one. I also wanted to talk about something that's been in the news. This is the Sprung shelters, or the Newcomer welcome centers for refugees. Unfortunately, there has been a lot of deliberately false information being shared around the community over the past couple weeks, and I just wanted to explain what's going on. Now, I've shared some information on my website as well, glengower.ca. I don't want to get into federal immigration policy. I'll leave that for other people to debate. I want to really explore the reality of what we're seeing here in Ottawa. Now, in Ottawa, over the past 40 years, we have had a lot of examples where Ottawa has welcomed refugees. In the 1980s, it was people from Vietnam. In the last decade, people from Syria. In the last couple years, people from Ukraine. But beyond those, there are people who arrive in Ottawa from all around the world who are escaping war and persecution and just very difficult situations. And we have a tradition of welcoming them here in Ottawa and supporting them as they try to make a better life here in Canada. Now, over the past few years, though, we have seen an influx in the number of refugees, and the usual system here in Ottawa that supports them, we've got community organizations, we do have temporary housing, we do have shelters and emergency shelters. That system has been absolutely overwhelmed, to the point where if you were to go to some of our emergency shelters downtown that are usually where people experiencing homelessness spend the night, sometimes 60% of the people there are new refugees. Or if you look at what we're doing, we have converted recreation centers in parts of the city into temporary accommodations where we have people living in bunk beds and sharing showers that are meant for just gym change rooms. Like, it's totally inappropriate. These are not recreation facilities built for human habitation. So we've got an influx of refugees and not enough places for them to go. So we have a number of things we're doing. A lot in our strategy. We are acquiring buildings. We've acquired a retirement home in the last year to be used as a family emergency shelter. We've acquired an old convent in the East End that's being used as a transitional housing. We're building hundreds of units of affordable housing, but we still need a short-term solution to house these refugees. About up to 600 people on a regular basis who do not have a safe place to go. And so the solution is what's called Sprung shelters, or they're calling them Newcomer reception or Newcomer welcome centers. They're for refugees. I have a picture of one on my website if you go to glengower.ca, so please go check that out. These are the least expensive and the fastest way to construct these buildings. They're very adaptable, they're fully enclosed, they have heating, they have cooling, they have private sleeping areas for people, they will have toilets and showers that people can use in a dignified way, and they have space on site for social services, so language training, job training, health services, social services on site in the building. And these shelters would be used for single men and women, so not for families. We have another emergency shelter already for families. There's one location that's going to be built likely in the next year pending federal funding, and that's near the Nepean Sportsplex and the old Confederation High School building on Woodruff Avenue. There's a second location that, if needed, could be built in the future, and that's on Hearst Way, which is where the overflow park and ride location is near Eagleson Road. So part of that parking lot could be a location as well. Anyhow, I know people have a lot of questions and concerns. That's totally understandable. I do have some information on my website. Check that out. If there's anything else you're wondering about, please send me an email and I'd be happy to answer it. One thing I did want to mention, one of the pieces of information that's out there is that this causes crime or safety issues. We have emergency shelters in other communities that have been running for refugees. We are not seeing a crime and safety issue near these locations. But that's a fair question, and if you have questions, please get in touch. And I hope as a community that we can continue that proud tradition we've had in Ottawa of welcoming and supporting refugees who are arriving here and fleeing some incredibly difficult circumstances. Housing has been a big focus for me this week. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail on these, but the city did, we passed an affordable housing strategy. This is about how we're going to invest money from municipal, provincial, and federal governments in order to foster more construction of affordable housing, very much needed. Vacant unit tax, we got an update on the first 2 years. It is going very well. We've had a very high declaration rate. We have had money that's going into affordable housing, but most importantly, we've reduced the number of vacant units by about half, which is pretty incredible. So that's about 1,700 units, I believe it is, a significant number when we're facing a housing crisis, and a very low vacancy rate for rentals across the city. I also attended the Ontario Nonprofit Housing Association conference this week in Ottawa. Some great insights and discussion about how organizations across the province are trying to tackle the affordable housing challenge and how to get things built faster and more of it. One of the most impactful meetings I was at was the Board of Health meeting on Monday, and we received a report. It's an annual report called the Nutritious Food Basket Survey, and it's a pretty stark reminder of how much people are struggling with the cost of groceries and cost of living here in Ottawa. So in 2023, 1 in 4 households experience food insecurity. This is where you don't have enough money for food, or you skip a meal, or you're buying lower quality, less nutritious food because you can't afford the good stuff. 1 in 4 households, 23.7% of households in Ottawa experience food insecurity. And that's up from about 15% in 2022. The cost of nutritious eating for a family of 4 over the course of a month is pegged at $1,244, which is up 4% from the year before and 10% from 2 years earlier. So I think we've all been feeling that. But when you combine the cost of food with the rising cost of shelter, people just don't have enough money left over at the end of the month to do anything else. So it's a very dire situation. Food banks are filling that void, but food banks were meant to be temporary originally, and food banks are not meant to be a permanent solution. The real root of food insecurity is poverty, and it's due to people not being able to, people experiencing disability who are not getting adequate government supports. It's people who are working but are not receiving a high enough wage to actually be able to afford housing and groceries. So we need more government programs that target that income inequality and that basic income that people need to survive. More on that on the Ottawa Public Health website. You can search for Nutritious Food Basket, a really, really important issue. It'll continue to be busy at City Hall. This Wednesday we have our tabling of the budget, followed by a month of budget debate and deliberation. We have a Stittsville, Canada budget open house on November 26th in the evening, so I hope you can come out and join us if you're interested in the budget. This week on November 13th in the evening, we have a meeting about a potential ward boundary change in the south part of Stittsville to add about 100 or so properties north of Fluellen into Stittsville, so please join us for that at Cardell Rec on November 13th. There's lots of events coming up. Today there's a Christmas market at Johnny Leroux. Sunday there's a Christmas market at Village Square Park. The Stittsville Village Association launches their Stittsville Spree, a great contest and initiative to encourage you to shop local. That starts on November 15th. December 7th is the annual Parade of Lights organized by the Stittsville Village Association the evening of December 7th along Stittsville Main Street. They need volunteers and you can still enter a float. You can visit Stittsville Village Association website or Facebook page for more information. And two more things. Congratulations to the volunteers involved in the Canada Stittsville Zonta Club on your successful launch last weekend. This is a great group focused on women's rights, women's issues, international issues, poverty. Really interesting organization. They have chapters worldwide, and now we have one in Canada in Stittsville. And a final reminder, Robert Grant Avenue, it's not going to fully open until next year in 2025, probably the last half of 2025, but they're getting very close to finishing the intersection work at Hazeldean and Robert Grant. And it looks like that's closed or even close to opening because it's all paved, but don't drive down it because it's just there at the intersection. So reminder about that. Don't turn onto Robert Grant thinking you can get to Abbott yet. It'll be soon, but not quite yet. Thank you for watching and staying updated. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you here next Saturday. Take care.